The story opens with our female lead, Jong, standing before a woman who is on her knees, crying bitterly. Through her tears, the woman says, I am your biological mother. I love you more than anyone else in this world. Please, come home with me. Look, I am even kneeling before you. On the other side stands her father, his expression filled with both pain and authority. He says, you are my blood, and only I know your true worth. But Jong stands there cold and expressionless. Watching this scene, the reporters whisper among themselves, this girl is heartless. Her own mother is on her knees before her, begging for forgiveness, and she doesn't even flinch. Yang's eyes open wide. She wakes up gasping, her forehead covered in sweat. It was just a dream she has seen far too many times. The next moment, we see Jong in an elegant jewelry store. She is trying on a beautiful diamond set that sparkles under the warm lights. She looks into the mirror and says softly, pack this one for me. Just then, her phone rings. On the other end, a man's voice speaks with anger and frustration. His name is Chen. His tone is sharp as he says, come outside right now. Jong frowns, thinking to herself, what's wrong with him? She steps outside and smiles faintly, trying to lighten the mood. I'm glad you came, she says. I was just picking out my wedding jewelry. Come, have a look. But Chen's face is filled with anger. He snaps, what's your problem, Jong? How many times have I told you not to touch my things without permission? Why did you go to my house? And who told you to hide Choo Choo's album? Tell me where it is. Jong looks at him in disbelief. What are you even saying? And yes, I went to your house, but I didn't go inside. I turned back from the door. I didn't touch anything. But Chen refuses to believe her. His voice rises, stop your act. You're a manipulative woman. Just tell me where Choo Choo's album is, or I swear I'll call off this wedding right now. Yang's calm begins to break. I didn't take anything, she says firmly. If something's missing, go to the police station. Why are you harassing me? Her words only make him angrier. Chen suddenly grabs her arm and pushes her. She falls hard, her head hitting the corner of a table. Blood starts to trickle from her forehead. For a moment, everything freezes. Then Yang's eyes fill with fury. She fights him with all her strength, forcing him to the ground. When it's over, she takes out her phone, dials the police, and calmly says, there's a man here who needs to learn how to behave. Soon after, Chen is taken away, his arrogance shattered. Across the street, a man watches the entire scene unfold. His name is Jong, the male lead of the story. A faint smile appears on his face as he murmurs to himself, interesting. This girl is different. The next scene shifts to a hospital room. Jong sits on a bed while a nurse gently dresses her wound. Just then, the door opens and her mother rushes in, her eyes red from crying. I'm so sorry, my child, she says, holding Yang's hand tightly. This is all our fault. If I had known Chen was that kind of man, I would never have agreed to your engagement. Jong looks at her mother, silent but hurt. At that moment, her brother enters the room, his expression serious. I won't let him go. How dare he raise his hand on my sister? I'm going to him right now. But Jong quickly holds his arm and says softly, no, brother, I've already taken care of him myself. I'm sorry I couldn't keep this relationship alive. Her brother looks at her with concern and replies, Jong, this isn't your fault. You didn't do anything wrong. Just take care of yourself. We'll soon announce that this engagement is over. Jong looks down for a moment and then says, I need one more favor from you. Her brother frowns slightly and says, tell me, what is it? But Jong stays silent, her eyes filled with thoughts she can't express. We next see Jong returning home with her mother. Her stepmother stops her, her tone sharp and judgmental. What kind of behavior is this, Jong? Are these the manners you learned, to hit your fiancé in the middle of the road? You must go and apologize to Chen right now. Jong looks at her stepmother in disbelief, her face calm but her eyes cold. Then her father speaks in a steady voice, I won't force you, but you know our business depends on Chen's family. If they break the partnership, we'll lose everything. We'll end up on the streets. Jong listens quietly, her face unreadable, and then says firmly, fine, I'll talk to him. But remember, this is the last time I'm obeying your words. After this, consider that I've fulfilled all my duties as your daughter. Later, we see Jong walking into an art studio where Young is painting, his brush moving gracefully across the canvas. The light falls on his face as he concentrates, and Jong can't help but stare. In her mind, she thinks, he's so handsome. Then Young looks up, notices her, and walks toward her with a warm smile. He reaches out his hand for a handshake. Jong blinks in surprise and thinks, I heard he was rude and arrogant, but he seems really friendly. Jung says with a casual tone, so, your family wants to compensate me. Jong nods calmly and says, yes, I know. That's why I came here. Jung chuckles and says, don't take this the wrong way, but I heard you beat your fiancé in public. Jong answers without hesitation, yes, but that was only self-defense. He attacked me, and I just protected myself. Jung leans slightly forward, his voice teasing as he says, so, if we get married, will you hit me too? Jong freezes for a moment and thinks silently, so, he's agreeing to the marriage already. Then she smiles softly and says, no, I won't hit you. But if I ever do, you can hit me back. Fair enough, right? Jung laughs lightly and replies, be careful what you say. If I die, this whole gallery will die with me. It exists only as long as these hands can paint. Jong looks at the paintings around her and says gently, I don't want anything from you, and I'll never ask for anything. Jung looks at her with quiet admiration and says, you're very honest. Did you bring your ID? Jong nods, saying, yes. The next moment, we see them both signing documents and receiving their marriage certificate. Afterward, Jong says, send me your home address. I'll bring my things and move in today. When she goes home to pack, her mother sees her and asks worriedly, Jong, where are you going? Jong shows her the marriage certificate and says, I'm Young's wife now, so I should live with him. Her mother's eyes fill with tears as she says, I don't accept this marriage. It's just a compromise to me. You are the most important thing in my life. Jong looks at her mother with a sad smile and replies, I finally understand how important I really am. Then she walks away, leaving her mother crying behind her. As Jong reaches the door, her stepmother stops her again and hands her a bracelet with a forced smile. Take this, she says. It's your wedding gift from me. Jong looks at the bracelet for a moment, then calmly breaks it into pieces with her hands. Her stepmother gasps in shock and shouts, what are you doing? Are you crazy? Jong doesn't answer. Her eyes are calm, but her silence is filled with strength and defiance. Into tears and rushes after her, but Chow quickly grabs her arm, saying, don't go after her. She's rude and ungrateful. She even broke the wedding gift. Do you really think she deserves your concern? Yang's mother turns to her in anger, her eyes blazing, and slaps Chow hard across the face. Stop your nonsense, she shouts. This is all your fault. You're the one who forced my daughter into marrying a disabled man. Chow screams back, and within seconds, both women are pulling each other's hair and shouting loudly. The house fills with chaos as the maids try to stop them. At that moment, one of the servants runs to Jong and pleads, Madam, please stop them. Your mother and Madam Chow are fighting so badly. Please come and stop them. Jong looks at him expressionlessly and says, I have nothing to do with them anymore, then turns and walks away without looking back. She arrives at Young's house, where she's met with a warm and graceful welcome. The servants greet her politely, and the atmosphere feels surprisingly calm and inviting. Jong looks around, her eyes wide with surprise. When she walks inside, she sees a beautifully prepared room, decorated thoughtfully for her comfort. Everything, from the furniture to the smallest details, has been chosen with care. She stands speechless, taking it all in. Young's assistant appears beside her and says politely, if you don't like the color of the towels, please let me know, I'll change them right away. Jong smiles awkwardly, still absorbing everything, when Young enters the room. The moment she sees him, a faint smile touches her lips. Young walks closer and says warmly, so, how do you like everything? She smiles softly and replies, it's all wonderful. I never expected any of this, but you didn't have to go to so much trouble. Young chuckles lightly and says, I hope it's not too much. I just don't want my wife to feel she has to compromise because of me. I want you to know that just because your husband is disabled doesn't mean he can't do anything for you. Yang's cheeks flush slightly at his words. Then Young opens a small box and says, I went shopping today. I brought a few gifts for you. He takes out a delicate ring and gently slips it onto her finger. Then he looks at her and says playfully, now help me too, will you? Put this one on me. Jong looks at the ring and realizes with surprise, this is a wedding ring. She carefully slides it onto his finger. Young then takes her hand and fastens a beautiful bracelet around her wrist. My taste is pretty good, isn't it? He says with a teasing smile. Jong blushes again, her eyes shining softly. Young leans back slightly and asks with a grin, "You're not thinking about divorcing me already, are you?" Jong laughs and shakes her head, saying, "Of course not." He smiles warmly and says, "I'll do my best to be a good husband." Then he brings out a stunning dress and a pair of heels, saying, "Try these on. I think they'll look perfect on you." She smiles, takes the heels, and puts them on. "I never expected you to be so thoughtful," she admits. He looks at her with gentle humor and says, "I'd feel better if you called me husband instead of Mr. Jong smiles faintly and thinks to herself, he's nothing like the person people said he was. In the next scene, they're having dinner together. Young serves her food with quiet care. Just then, a servant brings him a small cup of medicine, which he drinks calmly. Jong watches him curiously and asks, "What's that? You drank it so easily. Is it bitter? Is it for your legs?" Young shakes his head and replies, "No, it's not for my legs, it's for my stomach. If I don't take it before meals, I get sick." Jong giggles softly. Young looks at her, pretending to be serious, and says, "What's so funny? Tell me too." She smiles and says, "Nothing, it's just, never mind." Then Young says, "Tomorrow, you'll be going to the office. Will it feel strange working there again, especially since Chen will be there too?" Jong looks down for a moment and answers calmly, "Maybe a little, but there's nothing emotional left between us. That relationship was just a business deal, nothing more." The next morning, as she's about to leave for work, Young says gently, "Be careful on the road, please, and take care of yourself." She nods, smiling, and says, "Okay, bye." As she walks out, Young calls after her, "And stop calling me young master. Just use my name." She laughs lightly and says, "All right, bye Young." He waves at her as she leaves, his eyes following her until she's gone. His assistant, standing beside him, says, "Sir, Madam left a while ago." Young laughs to himself, a soft warmth in his smile. Meanwhile, at her company, Jong is in a board meeting, selling her shares. The atmosphere is tense as Chen storms in angrily and says, "You can't just end things between us like this." Jong looks at him coolly and replies, "I already have." Everyone else in the meeting sides with her, leaving Chen speechless and humiliated. Later, Young meets his friends and says, "I have some work for you all." They look at him curiously and ask, "What kind of work?" Young says calmly, "You're going to help Jong sell her shares. Either help her find buyers or buy them yourselves." His friends stare at him in disbelief. One of them laughs and says, "Are we dreaming? Our friend, who never even looked at a girl, now suddenly wants to help one. What's going on, man?" Young sighs and says, "Don't overthink it. There's nothing like that. Just do what I said." But they keep teasing him, refusing to believe it. Finally, Young pulls out his marriage certificate and places it in front of them. They stare at it in shock, their mouths open, then burst into laughter and congratulations. One of them says, "So finally someone managed to capture your heart." Young rolls his eyes and says, "Enough jokes. Just get it done. I don't care if you buy her shares or find someone else to do it. I just want them sold." Then he walks away. On the other side, Jong arrives with her friend to meet Mr. Shah, who was supposed to buy her shares. Her friend Gigi looks at her and says, "I heard your family married you to a disabled man, and you actually agreed to it. Why would you do that, Jong?" She looks at her friend and asks softly, "Why did you agree to this? What kind of situation forced you? There's nothing wrong with you. You're beautiful, smart, confident. Then why would you marry a man with a disability?" Jong looks down for a moment and says quietly, "He may be disabled, but he's a far better person than Chan could ever be." Just then, Chan storms in, furious. Without warning, he starts hitting Shah and shouts, "How dare you come here, she's my fiancé." Shah pushes him back and shouts, "What did I even do?" Then, unable to control his anger, Shah slaps him hard and says, "I've bought all of Yang's shares, that's why I'm here. Think I can, I already have. I'm married now. From today, don't follow me, don't talk to me. We have nothing left between us." She turns and walks away, leaving Chan standing there speechless, unable to believe what just happened. He clenches his fists and mutters, just wait and see, the day will come when you'll come crawling back to me, begging. Later that evening, Jong visits her parents' house. Her mom and dad are quietly having dinner when they see her at the door. Her mother's eyes light up instantly. You're here, come, eat with us. If I had known you were coming, I would have made all your favorite dishes. But Jong smiles faintly and says, thank you, but that's not necessary. Her father picks up a file and hands it to her. These are 6% of the company's shares, he says warmly, I want them to be under your name. Jong shakes her head gently and says, no, I don't need it. She takes out a card and places it on the table. There's 1 million in this card. Thank you for taking care of me all these years. But now I'm married, and we have nothing more between us. Her mother's eyes fill with tears. That's impossible, she cries, you're our daughter, that bond can never break. But Jong ignores her words and quietly turns to leave. Her brother, Ji, rushes after her and stops her at the gate. Jong looks at him and asks calmly, what is it? He hands her a small pen drive and says, this is the information you asked me to collect. Jong nods slightly. Thank you, she says. Ji looks at her with concern and adds softly, don't worry, no matter where you go, we'll always be family. Uncle and aunt love you deeply, please don't be upset. But Jong turns away and says coldly, I don't have time for these talks, and she walks off, leaving Ji standing there, unable to say more. That night, Young sits in his wheelchair, reading a book but constantly glancing at the clock in the door. When Jong finally walks in, he smiles with relief and says, you're so late, I've been waiting for you for so long. Jong sighs and says, I'm sorry, I went to sell my shares and had to handle a few problems at home. Then, on the way back, I saw something in a shop that reminded me of you, so I bought you a gift. Here, take a look and tell me if you like it. Young takes the box excitedly, smiling like a child. Thank you so much, he says warmly, and opens it. Inside is a simple but elegant bracelet. His eyes brighten as he says, I love it. Jong smiles softly, I'm glad you like it. Young then asks gently, have you eaten yet? She shakes her head. No, I didn't have time. He signals the servants to bring dinner and adds that he had a special cake made just for her. Jong looks at the beautifully decorated table, the warm candlelight, the food, and the cake, and suddenly her eyes grow heavy. For a moment, she remembers all the times she used to prepare these same things for Chan, only for him to insult her and walk away. Now, in the present, Young notices her quiet sadness and asks, what's wrong? You don't like it? She wipes her eyes quickly and says, no, it's not that, I love all of this. Young smiles and says playfully, then serve me, please. After all, I can't exactly get up and do it myself. In his house. His mother enters and says coldly, Jong is married now. You can't let her go like this, you must marry before she does anything else. Chan clenches his jaw and says, that engagement was real, we can't just break it off like that. But his mother interrupts sharply and says, Jong is already married, and to Young, of all people. I can't even understand how he agreed to this. Chan freezes, unable to believe what he's hearing. He thought Jong had lied about her marriage, but now he realizes she was telling the truth. The next scene fades into the quiet of night. Jong walks slowly toward the bed, her face glowing faintly red with shyness. She can't even meet Young's eyes and quietly lies down, turning slightly away. Young smiles softly, moves a little closer, and asks, what happened? Why do you look so nervous? She stammers, and nothing, it's nothing. Young chuckles gently and says, all right then, and switches off the light. As he settles down beside her, Jong blurts out, today is our first wedding night, so, Young turns to her and replies with a warm smile, not now. My legs still aren't healed. How can I do anything like this until they recover? Unless, of course, you really want to. She interrupts quickly, no, of course not. Then thinks to herself, oh God, what was I even thinking? I shouldn't have said that. This is so embarrassing. Later that night, Jong wakes up and reaches beside her. The bed is empty. She sits up suddenly, panicking, and finds Young lying on the floor. He had accidentally slipped off the bed. Her shocked expression is almost comical as she rushes to help him up. The next morning, they both visit the doctor. The doctor looks serious and says to Young, I told you before to quit smoking, didn't I? Yet you still haven't stopped. Young shakes his head, pretending innocence, I don't smoke. But Jong immediately says, that's not true, he does. Young looks at her, embarrassed, while the doctor sighs, you just got married, right? If you don't take your treatment seriously, you'll ruin everything. These days, most divorces happen because of things like this. Young gulps nervously, completely frightened. After they return home, Young tells his assistant, I need a strong cup of tea. Jong instantly says, absolutely not. Tea isn't good for you at all. The assistant can't help but laugh quietly, realizing that now Young has truly fallen under the control of his caring wife. Poor Young sighs in defeat. No tea for him. Later, Jong is sitting with her laptop, working quietly. Young rolls toward her and asks, what are you doing? She replies, I'm looking for a job. I don't have one right now. Young raises an eyebrow playfully, are you teasing me? Because I don't have a job either. Jong quickly says, no, not at all. Young laughs softly, good, I like that. A moment later, Jong receives a call from her friend. Her friend warns her that Chan has been spreading rumors about her and her family, twisting stories about her marriage with Young. But Jong stays calm, completely unaffected. Young watches her and asks quietly, can I ask you something? Do you still like him? She shakes her head firmly, I never liked him, and even now, I don't care what he does. Young smiles and looks at her closely, then asks, do you like me? She doesn't answer. He grins and says, I'll wait for that day, and when you finally feel that you've started liking me, promise me you'll tell me first. Jong looks at him silently, realizing what a genuinely kind man he is, so different from anyone else. The next day, Jong goes to a company for an interview. The manager studies her resume and is instantly impressed. You're very talented, he says with admiration, the job is yours. He then invites her to lunch, clearly charmed by her calm confidence. Meanwhile, back home, Young feels restless without her. His assistant decides to help and calls Jong, pretending, Madam, sir hasn't eaten anything. Jong immediately refuses her manager's lunch offer and rushes home. As soon as she enters, Young pretends to faint dramatically. Worried, Jong runs to him and says, what happened, are you okay? The assistant smirks and says teasingly, poor sir, he just can't quit smoking. Jong opens her bag, takes out a candy, and gently moves to put it in his mouth, but then she realizes how close they are, blushes, and hesitates. Young catches her hand, smiles softly, and eats the candy right from her hand. Yang's heart skips a beat as she blushes harder, their eyes locking in tender silence. They lean closer without even realizing it. Later that evening, they sit together for dinner. The servant brings Young's medicine, but this time he avoids taking it. Jong looks at him and says gently, drink it, I was just smiling, not teasing you. He sighs and says, the truth is, since I can't walk, my digestion gets weak too. Jong nods understandingly, I can imagine. He smiles and says, today I had all your favorite dishes made. I heard you love spicy food, so I made sure everything had the right kick. Jong laughs softly. Jong looks at him and says warmly, you wouldn't mind if I leave now, would you? He smiles softly and says, no, why would I be upset? Just bring me something nice when you come back. Jang smiles warmly and leaves. She heads to her office, where an actress is angrily demanding double payment, threatening to terminate her contract otherwise. Jang remains calm and says, fine, go ahead and terminate the contract, but I will not pay you double. Then she confidently presents a brilliant marketing plan, walking everyone through her presentation step by step. Her ideas are so convincing that the entire room is left impressed and inspired. The actress, Ja, realizes too late that she's lost her chance. Soon, she finds herself blacklisted, unable to get any work anywhere, and she grows bitter and resentful toward Jang, blaming her entirely for what happened. In the next scene, we see Young at home, painting quietly. Night falls, and Jang returns very late from work. Young looks up and says softly, you're back, you haven't even slept yet. She's surprised and says, you're still awake. He smiles and replies, I couldn't sleep, I was waiting for you. She sighs apologetically and says, I'm really sorry. Lately, the workload has been so heavy. He says gently, it's all right, don't worry about it. Then, with care in his voice, he asks about his legs. She looks at him with concern and asks, "Are you still going to the hospital?" He nods. "Yes, every day. The doctors make me exercise." She lowers her eyes sadly and says, "It breaks my heart that I can't help you at all." He reaches out and says softly, "It's okay, really." She smiles faintly and guides him to bed, helping him lie down. The next morning, when Young wakes up, Jang is already gone. She's left early for the office. As he looks around, his eyes fall on a small candy placed beside the bed. There's a note from her that says, "Whenever you miss me, eat one candy." He smiles tenderly, holds it close, and writes a few loving words on the wrapper. At the office, Jang is completely consumed by her work. She leaves home early, returns late at night, losing track of time in her endless tasks. Meanwhile, Young is steadily learning to stand on his own again, his strength returning day by day. One afternoon, a housemaid shyly asks Young for one of the candies, but he refuses with a small laugh and says, "Sorry, my wife gave this to me. I can't share it with anyone." His assistant rolls his eyes and says, "Come on, it's just candy." Young smirks and teases, "You're just jealous of me and Jang, aren't you?" The assistant scoffs, "Jealous? Of you too? Never. Just hurry up, I have to drive you to the doctor." Later that night, Jang falls asleep at her desk, exhausted. Young quietly walks in, sees her dozing, and his eyes soften. Without saying a word, he gently lifts her in his arms and lays her down on the sofa. She doesn't realize that he's walking perfectly fine now, his legs have completely healed. When she stirs slightly, she assumes she must be dreaming. The next day, Jang's company launches a new advertisement for their makeup products. Within minutes of release, the video goes viral across social media, and their entire stock sells out. Everyone at the office celebrates her success. The manager praises her endlessly and even offers her a promotion, to become the head of a new branch. But to accept it, Jang would have to transfer and leave this place behind. In another scene, we see Choo Choo, Chan's ex-girlfriend, visiting Young. She greets him with a sharp yet polite smile and says, "Chan is mentally unstable. I came to congratulate you, you escaped from his trap." Young listens quietly as she leaves. Meanwhile, at the office, Chan himself shows up unexpectedly, carrying a bouquet. Jang steps out, surprised. He smiles and says, "What a pleasant surprise, right?" She crosses her arms and asks coldly, "What are you doing here?" He replies, "I have a business trip tomorrow, so I thought we could have lunch together today." When they're done, Jang stands to leave, but Young says, "I'll drop you at your office." She shakes her head and says, "No need, I brought my car." He insists, "That's okay, I feel like driving. I'll send your car later." Back at her office, Jang is working when her assistant walks in and says, "Someone is here to see you." When she steps outside, she's shocked to see Chan standing there, holding a bouquet. He begins apologizing sincerely, but she cuts him off and says, "There's nothing left between us. Please, just leave." His voice breaks as he says, "Without you, my company will go bankrupt." She replies coldly, "Let it sink. I don't care." His face hardens. "Fine then, give me back everything I gave you. The gifts, the jewelry, everything at your house." She says calmly, "Fine, come with me." She calls her driver and tells him to bring the car. They arrive at her house with Young's assistant accompanying them. Chan sends the assistant outside on a fake errand, pretending to need help with carrying boxes. Then, the moment the assistant steps out, Chan locks the door from inside, trapping Jang alone with him. Outside, the assistant senses something is wrong. He calls Young in panic and says, "Sir, Chan has locked the door from inside. Madam is still in there with him. I don't know what to do." Hearing this, Young's face turns red with fury, his hands clenching tightly. Inside, Chan's tone turns dark. He grabs Jang by the wrist and snarls, "You like seducing other men, don't you? Let me show you what really happens between couples, how it happens." Jang struggles, terrified, shouting for him to let go, but he only pulls her closer. Someone in the crowd shouts, "Look, there's a camera. Now the whole country will see this." Jang freezes in fear, her face pale and trembling, and the scene cuts right there. Young rushes to the house and, in one powerful motion, kicks down the door with his leg. But by the time he gets inside, Chan is already lying lifeless on the floor. Jang stands there, covered in shock, her hands shaking violently. As Young runs toward her, she slaps him hard across the face, her voice breaking as she cries, "I didn't do anything, I didn't do anything." Young catches her shoulders gently and says softly, "You didn't do anything, I did. Forgive me, I hit you. I wasn't in my senses." He takes her hand and smiles faintly. Why do you keep apologizing? It was just a slap. She looks away, still crying. He brushes her hair gently and says, don't worry about anything. I'm here with you. I'll make everything right. I'll always protect you and take care of you. Hearing those words, Jang's heart softens. She whispers to herself, he's such a good man, and then says softly, please take me home. I don't want to stay here anymore. Young nods, all right, we'll go home. The next day, the doctor tells Young that although Miss Jang's physical condition is fine, her mental state seems fragile. I suggest you take her to a psychologist, he says. Young shakes his head, no, I'll take her home first. If she agrees later, I'll bring her to one. The doctor nods slowly, as you wish. Later, Young and Jang sit together quietly at home. The air feels heavy. Just then, the assistant enters and says, our case looks clean, but Chan is still alive in the ICU. If he dies, we might face trouble. It would be better to make a private settlement. Young straightens his back and says firmly, no, I won't settle privately. Whatever happens will happen in court. The next morning, Young tells her, today I'll come to the office with you. She smiles faintly, and they go together. Everyone at the company looks at them, whispering with admiration, what a lovely couple they are. Jang leads Young into her cabin, where her manager looks completely stunned. Are you two a couple? He asks. Young smiles and says proudly, yes, Jang is my wife. Later, he drops her off at the airport. He holds her hands and says, I'll miss you so much. The next scene shifts to Jang carrying fruits and flowers as she walks into a hospital. Her grandfather is admitted there. She doesn't go inside, just hands everything to the nurse and leaves quietly. Inside, her grandfather looks at the gifts with teary eyes and says, these are all my favorite things. Who could have sent them? Later, Jang visits her grandmother's grave, placing flowers carefully before the tombstone. She whispers, ever since you left, the whole family has fallen apart. Just then, her brother sees her from afar. In the next moment, Jang visits a psychologist. The doctor listens carefully and explains that Jang has a mental disorder. Every time she tries to have physical contact, her body goes into panic. The doctor speaks kindly, until you make an effort yourself, nothing will change. You have to try. Think about your husband's love and care. Let those memories comfort you. One day, you'll feel safe again, and his touch will heal you. Jang listens silently, her eyes filled with quiet pain. As she steps out of the clinic, her brother appears suddenly, his voice trembling with emotion. I never thought you would hate us so much that you'd come here and not even meet your family. Jang breaks down crying and says, forgive me, brother. He hugs her tightly, holding her like he used to when they were young. As they embrace, Young's friend Yu spots them from a distance, snaps pictures, and secretly sends them to Young. He calls immediately and says, see, I told you she's cheating on you. Look at her. She's meeting another guy behind your back. Young's voice turns cold. This is my matter. I'll handle it. Please don't interfere. He cuts the call, silencing his friend, but his heart is restless. In the following scene, we see Yu at a party. Among the guests is Jang's brother. Someone mentions to Yu that the man he's talking to is actually Jang's brother and that Jang left this city long ago. Yu's face drains of color. He mutters, oh no, Young is going to kill me for this. But still, he gathers courage and sends Young a message, confessing everything. I was wrong, brother, he writes. I thought she was with someone else, but that man is her brother. Meanwhile, Jang is sitting with her brother at a small cafe. Suddenly, their parents and grandfather arrive, tears in their eyes. They surround her, crying and saying, how could you leave without even meeting us once? After that, Jang met her parents in tears and softly apologized to them. Meanwhile, Young's assistant was deeply worried, because for the past 3 hours Young had been doing nothing but intense exercise, pushing his body without a single minute of rest. Finally, the assistant forcefully handed him his phone. As Young unlocked it, he saw Yu's messages and listened carefully. A faint smile finally appeared on his face. He then dialed a number and said gently, please let me talk to Yang's brother. In the next scene, Jang arrived at her old house. Everything there was exactly the same, nothing had changed. Looking around with nostalgia, she said softly, nothing has changed here. Her mother smiled warmly. Only you were missing. Everything else stayed the same. We missed you so much. Just then, her brother entered and said, but she didn't tell you one more thing. She's married. Jong turned toward him. Yes, I'm married. Young is my husband. Later, in her room, she sat down and looked at Young's pictures on her phone. Photos secretly taken and sent by his assistant, showing him training nonstop for hours. She smiled emotionally and immediately called him. Sorry, she said sweetly, I was with my family today, so I didn't check my phone. But why did you work out so much? He laughed. That assistant of mine, he secretly sent you my pictures, didn't he? They both smiled. All right, he said softly, now go get some rest. Sleep well, baby. Good night, she whispered and hung up, blushing shyly afterward. The next morning, Jong stepped out of her room, and suddenly froze. Sitting in the lounge right in front of her was Young. She gasped in shock. What are you doing here? He smiled lovingly. Your brother invited me. So I came. But now I feel like I should have come even earlier. She folded her arms with a playful frown. You should have told me. A message would have been enough. At least I could have waited for you at the airport. He chuckled. That's okay. Just then, her brother joined them and said, even I didn't know when my brother-in-law was coming. I thought he was just saying it casually, but he really showed up. This just proves how much he loves you, sis. Everyone laughed warmly. The air was full of joy as they all chatted together. Jong turned to her brother and teased, Hey, are you filling my husband's ears with stories about me? Her brother grinned, I was only telling him how half of our house is filled with your trophies. Young looked at her in surprise. I didn't know you were a champion in games too. She smirked. Proudly, yes, that's me. Watching them laugh together, their grandfather's eyes filled with happiness. He took out his camera and clicked a beautiful family photo, full of love and laughter. In the next scene, Young and Jong had freshened up and were having breakfast together. Jong looked at him and asked softly, Where do you want to go first? He smiled and said, To Grandma's place. A little later, they reached Grandma's grave. Young gently placed flowers on it, then they both stood silently for a moment. After that, they walked together under the morning sun. Young broke the silence. So this was your business trip, huh? Why didn't you tell me? She hesitated. I wanted to, but I thought I'd tell you later. They stopped walking. Jong looked at him seriously. Can I ask you something? He nodded. Yes, go ahead. She looked into his eyes. Tell me honestly, that day, when you were in the gym for 3 hours straight, it was because of me, right? He froze, surprised. How did you know that? She smiled faintly. I know everything. Young exhaled deeply. I was terrified that day. Your phone was off. I wasn't doubting you. I could never doubt you. I just wanted to keep myself busy. No matter what happens, you'll always have my trust. She smiled softly. Next time, just ask me directly. She whispered, Why didn't we meet earlier? He smiled. Then I guess I deserve the punishment for being late to your life. The next scene showed Young saying goodbye to Yang's parents. Don't worry, he said respectfully, I'll take good care of her. Her brother stepped forward and said, I used to think Jong would never be happy with you. But I was wrong, we all were. You've proven you're the best husband she could ever have. Jong smiled proudly. Of course he is. My husband is the best. I knew it from the very beginning. That's why I married him. Everyone laughed lovingly. After saying their goodbyes, Young and Jong returned home together. As soon as they entered, Jong looked around and asked curiously, Where are all the servants? He said softly, Tonight, it's just you and me. I've given everyone else the night off. Jong blinked, surprised. Really? She asked. Yes, he replied with a gentle smile. Just us. Jong thought for a moment and then said, Okay, wait here. I'll be back. She disappeared into the kitchen and returned with a carefully brewed tea, carrying it delicately to Young. She placed it in front of him and sat down, her heart racing. I want to confess something, she said quietly. He looked at her with steady eyes. Yes, tell me. Jong took a deep breath and spoke softly. I have some psychological issues. That's okay, he said gently. Everyone has their issues these days. Don't worry about it. Take your time. I'm your husband, and I'll always stay by your side. There's no need to rush anything. I'll wait for you, and I don't mind what happens tomorrow. I'm here, always. Yang's heart swelled at his words. Just as they were about to kiss, a drink suddenly fell to the floor. A servant had clumsily dropped it. Perfect moment. But Young's expression hardened, irritation rising. The house key. You have it, right? Give it back to me, he snapped. Zhang frowned. Why? This is different now. I'm married. You can't just come into my house like before. The next morning, Zhang prepared to leave for the office. She kissed Young softly. Goodbye for now. She then approached her brother. You own 13% of my shares, she said firmly. Her brother looked stunned. I never expected this from you. She smiled. I'm adopted anyway. Everything of yours is mine too. Later, Zhang signed a cooperation agreement with her company, holding a press conference where she answered all questions confidently. Her company grew rapidly under her leadership. In the next scene, Young's mother arrived to meet him. This is enough. You've kept me from meeting my daughter-in-law. She's been your wife for 3 months, and I haven't met her yet. I'm not happy about this. Do you not value us enough to introduce us to her? Young smiled softly. Mom, nothing is wrong. She's wonderful. You'll love her. She shook her head. I don't understand this love. Your wife works in the office, in media, doing who knows what. And you sit at home, reading books, happy, and don't even watch over her properly. A man's job is to earn. Oh God. I think all these thoughts will give me wrinkles. Muttering, she walked away, leaving Young chuckling softly. Meanwhile, Zhang went to meet the man responsible for her family's bankruptcy. Her gaze was sharp. If you want to spend your life rotting in jail, ignore me. But if you want to survive, sign these papers quietly, or else I'll impose 2 to 4 more charges. Your best chance is to cooperate, she warned. Terrified, he signed immediately. Zhang handed the papers to her brother. Her leadership restored the company's glory. In record time, she brought it to new heights. On receiving an award, Zhang walked on stage, glowing with pride. Thank you, everyone. I'm so happy to be here. It wasn't easy, but someone in my life motivated me, supported me through everything, and that someone is my husband, Young. Today, I want to say this in front of everyone. She turned to Young, smiling, her eyes shining with love. Young, will you marry me? Young laughed softly, his eyes brimming with joy. Yes, he whispered. They hugged tightly, smiling as the audience applauded. A warm, happy ending embraced them both, their love story complete.